everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am April Davis with April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spring Hill, Kansas. And today is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. It's 2 p.m., and it's time for my Facebook Live to-go class. So for my to-go classes, the class itself is free. I hope you enjoy the projects that I've selected for this particular class. If you decide that you want the kit for free, then more information can be found out on my website at aprildaviscreations.com. And basically, it's placing an order in my online store. You get the kit for free, or you can purchase the kit separately. And I also will have the PDF uploaded into my PDF store. So there's a number of different ways that you can gain access to this particular class. So thank you so much for joining me today. The weather is lovely outside. My husband's waiting for me to finish so we can take our dog Harper for a fun walk. Yesterday was gorgeous too. It was almost 70 degrees. Today it's a bit cooler, but still just gorgeous and a perfect time to get out, considering we had such horrible weather just a week or so ago with -4 degrees temperature. So when it's in the 50s and lower 60s, that's nice weather for us. So anyway, I do have a lot to share with you today. So what I'm going to do, let me see, I've got my comments up. I'm going to make sure that I've gone live. I'm not going to spend a lot of time today going over updates because I think my projects are going to take me a little bit more time. I'm going to be doing some stamping and coloring that I don't typically do. I do it ahead of time. So anyway, we'll get there. There are a couple things though that I did want to just highlight today. So I'm going to switch screens. And the first one that I wanted to highlight was this exclusive join offer. The reason I'm so excited about this join offer, well, actually there's two reasons. First of all, I love having people join my team, the Stamp About team. So I welcome you to join if that's something that you're interested in. But the second thing that I'm really excited about is the fact that the incentive to join is a stamp positioner. Stampin' Up! Has been without a stamp positioner for a bit of time now, and it's one of my very, very, very favorite tools in my craft room. So I'm really excited to have this stamp positioner to share with all of you. And for the join offer, you get this stamp positioner absolutely free. So you pay $99 for your kit. You get $125 worth of product of your choice. And Stampin' Up! Throws in the stamping positioner for free. I do have a sneak peek spotlight of the stamp positioner out on my YouTube channel. So if you want to see more about this, please do go check out that sneak peek spotlight, and you can find it under the playlists of sneak peeks. All right, the other thing that I want to share with you, let me move this out of the way. I wanted to share with you the Sweet Bug Spring Retreat that we have going on right now. I am partnering with another demonstrator, Linda Weber, and so excited to be doing this with her. We've got this fun Sweet Bug Spring Retreat. The retreat registration is open through the 22nd of this month, and then the kits will ship on March the 6th, or on or around March the 6th. But I wanted to kind of give you a little glimpse as to what is included in this Sweet Bugs Spring Retreat. So the main retreat itself features obviously the Sweet Bugs. And you're going to get designer series paper, you're going to get ribbon, you're going to get embellishments, you're going to get all the cardstock you need, the envelopes that you need to make these cute cards. You want to see them? All right, let's go. Sweet Bugs, so cute. I love these. So I designed half of these cards, and Linda designed the other half. You are going to get enough product to create 2 of each of these cards. So this is the Sweet Bugs Spring Retreat. You can get information about that at my website, aprildaviscreations.com. And look in the blog, and all that information will be there. Now, in addition to the Sweet Bugs, we have 2 add-on classes. They're optional. You can add them on if you choose to. The first one is the Easter Basket Bundle, and the cards that you're creating with the Easter Basket Bundle are equally as cute. Check out this one with the little Easter bunny in its basket. And then we've got a little chocolate bunny, and then just a couple of other little bunnies welcoming in spring. So we've got that. You're going to get designer series paper, you're going to get ribbon, you're going to get embellishments with that. And then we also, the second add-on class that we have is featuring the Boardwalk Fun Bundle. And check out these cute cards that Linda's designed. And again, you're going to get 2 of each. So how fun are these? And again, these add-on classes are optional. All the information is out at April Davis Creations. Check out my blog, and I hope you'll join us. This is going to be so much fun. All right, moving this out of the way so that I can bring in the cards that we're going to be creating today. So I am featuring the Gliding Garden Swing Bundle. I'm going to actually take down the April Davis Creations. Let me see if I can do this. Yes, taking that down just so that it's not in the way. But featuring this bundle, we're going to be utilizing both the stamps and the dies with this bundle. So let me share with you how cute these cards are. We've got this swing. We have another swing. And then we've got a tile effect that we're utilizing with the dies that we have in our bundle. So let's go ahead and get started on this one because there's a number of different things that are happening with this first card. Let me show you the kit. You've got your basic white cardstock. I am adding a crumb cake layer. Then we've got our layer of basic white that we're going to be doing some stamping on and some embossing. And then I've got a piece of scrap. I'm going to be doing all of my stamping. And the reason I didn't do my stamping ahead of time or my die cutting ahead of time is when I am coloring, I like to be able to stamp, color, then die cut versus having little die cuts, stamping on those little die cuts, and then trying to color those little die cuts. So I do all my stamping, my coloring, and then I die cut. So you get to join me with this. So let's see. First things first, we'll go ahead and do our stamping. So let me bring in, we are going to be stamping the branch that the swing is going to be swinging on, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in my silicone mat so I've got a little bit of a cushion that we can stamp on. I've got the bench, and let me see, we'll put the bench on this one once we're done with it. And then I've got the pillows that we're going to stamp, and I've got a little pot that we're going to stamp, and I've got the greenery that goes in the pot. So we've got all these that we're going to be stamping as well. So let's go ahead and let's just get our branch stamped first. And I am going to use my Memento black ink for this. So we'll go ahead and get that all inked up. And I'll go ahead and just stamp it. We're going to do this. We're going to get all of our stamping done. Then I'll get my coloring done. But I want to make sure I get a good adherence or transfer of ink, if you will. So we've got that. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to move this off to the side. Actually, I'm going to clean it up because I need to do stamping with my bench, or my swing, I should say. So let me pull this back out. And my swing's right here, so let me pull this off. And I will put my tree branch away, and we'll go ahead and get this guy out. And I may need to bring in my bigger block. It looks like I'm going to, so let me move this out of the way, and I'll bring in my bigger block for this. And again, I'm just stamping, so the reason I'm going to turn this over and pick it up is I just don't want it to be misformed. And sometimes when you're, holding on to it and trying to get it adhered to your block, you might misshapen it. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. That way I don't have to worry about that. And hopefully this extra ink that you're seeing is not going to transfer too bad. All right, so let me turn this over, and we're going to go ahead and get this stamped and transferred. If you're watching live, please do say hello and where you're watching from. And if you're watching the replay, I move these videos onto YouTube. If you're watching the replay, please say hello as well. I love it when you guys join me and say hello. I love your suggestions. I love your comments. And it just makes me feel like I'm not alone out here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to move this off to the side. And let's go ahead and I want to make sure I'm getting everything. Let's go ahead and let's get our pillows stamped. So we'll get this one and this one. I'm double checking to make sure I'm getting good ink coverage on this as well. So we got that, that's good. Clean this stamp up real quick. And then we have our pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our pot stamped. And I'll put it over here. Clean this off. And then the last thing is we've got the greenery for the pot. Coloring is one of my favorite things to do. It does take a little bit of time, but I have a lot of fun with it. So I hope you guys will oblige me and just enjoy while I'm coloring. I love our Stampin' blends, so I'm going to pull those out. And let's see, I'm going to do my pillow. I think I'm doing my pillow in crumb cake, and we're going to use the Azure Afternoon Blue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly. I know it seems like when I'm recording, the coloring just kind of tends to slow things down. But like I said, when I am doing coloring, I want to make sure that I've got plenty of space to get that done. So I would rather do the stamping, the coloring, and then the die cutting. Certainly you can do it any way you choose. This is just the easier way for me. So because I typically try to, whoops, this blend has a little bit of extra ink on it. So fortunately it dropped on the paper instead of on my stamped image. But sometimes because of the alcohol in the ink, if the marker has been resting for a little while, it's probably best when you open it up to do it and kind of just touch a paper towel just to get rid of any excess alcohol so that it doesn't drip on your paper. Now, it doesn't do it all the time. I don't have that problem with it a lot, but sometimes I do, as you just saw. Okay, I'm going to do my pot in, let's see, I think I'm going to do part of it in the dark Calypso Coral, so we can get some dark edging on it. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the lining here and here. And I'll show you a trick when you are coloring pots or something that's round. Take your darker marker and kind of bring it in from the outside a little bit. And then you can take the lighter color and color things in, and what it will do is it will kind of help to add some dimension so that it makes it look more round. You've got the shadowing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm doing this right now because I'm trying to just blend that ink in, so I don't really want to see the lines that I had. I'm going to bring this up so you can just see a little bit. You saw how I was able to just kind of bring the color in. And now that I've done that, I don't have those harsh edges or those lines that I was showing you, but yet there is some shading there. All right, now I am going to do my bench or my swing, and I think I'm going to do part of it in crumb cake. So I'm gonna color it in crumb cake, and then I'm going to outline it in pecan pie. So we're going to give it a little bit of a different color in the pecan pie. So I'm going to do the edges here, down the middle. So this morning, my husband and I took my mom back to Independence, Kansas. She had been spending the week with us. She had some surgery on Thursday, and her doctors are up here in the Kansas City area. So we went, she came on Tuesday of last week. Her surgery was on Thursday. She's recovering really well. But we did have that little drive this morning. It's about just a little over 2 hours, I would say. And my goal, we left early enough because I wanted to make it back, obviously, in time for my Facebook Live, because I wanted to be with all of you. And I know my mom enjoys when she's able to sit. Hi, Diana from Oregon. No worries being late. You can always catch up. Good to see you. So anyway, mom's doing really well, and we were happy to have her. I was giving her a little bit of grief. It's like, Mom, you really need to take good care of yourself and make sure that you're taking your medication on time. So we set alarms for her, and she was supposed to take 2 different pain medications every 3 hours. So one pain medication, it ended up being every 6 hours, but one was every 3 hours, and then the other one was every 3 hours. Anyway, not to be confusing, but she had her alarm set, and when I got her to the house where she lives in Independence, we got her alarm set and got her medication all dispersed. So she's doing a really good job of getting herself back to where she needed to be, because she's been dealing with this issue that she's got for quite some time. So I'm really happy that once she gets healed, she will be feeling so much better. So happy about that. But the drive was uneventful, which is good. All right, almost there. I'm gonna do a little bit of you can see the wood grain in here, so I'm just gonna kind of follow the wood grain along here. And this just adds a little bit of interest to this swing before we actually cut it out. Okay, I'm gonna do the rope. I'm gonna go ahead and do it in the pecan pie as well. And fortunately for it, I just have to draw a straight line basically down the middle of it. So we'll get that. And the last thing I have to worry about is the tree. And then we can go ahead and get this all die cut. Oh, I do have some greenery, don't I? All right, let's go ahead. The branch is right here, so I'm gonna work to get this branch colored in. I think my other example, I maybe used 2-tone. We're just gonna do 1-tone for this, just because it'll save on time, but you can blend. Start with a lighter and then add the darker if you choose to. But we're gonna go ahead and do it like this. Maybe I'll add some 2-tone for the green. So this is gonna get die cut anyway. But we've got that, and then I think I'm gonna use Mossy Meadow for my leaves. So I'm gonna take the light Mossy Meadow to start, and I'm just gonna color everything in. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of highlight or some interest by adding in some dark. So I'll show you what I mean by that here in just a second. I think if I weren't recording, I probably would go a little bit slower, but like I said, I haven't done this for you guys in a bit of time, so I thought, well, this is the perfect card for me to do this, because most all of this card is stamped and colored, which I love. It makes for a pretty card. All right, and I do love this gliding, what's it called? It's called gliding garden swing. I wish I had one of these out in my yard. I love to swing. I might have to talk to my husband about getting one for our patio. That'd be fun. It wouldn't be hanging from a tree, but they've got those swings that you can put on your patios. We used to have one in our old house. All right, let's finish this up, And then I'm going to add a little bit of highlight to it, and then we can go ahead and die cut. Actually, I've got a little bit more coloring. I'll show you where that's going to be. It's going to be on the main card. Actually, I think I have to stamp first. So got that done, and then we'll get this one done down here, and then I'm going to add a little bit of accent to it. All right. One of the fun things we got to do while Mom was here is my granddaughter is on a dance competition team, and she's got a number of different numbers that she does. And right before the competition season officially kicks off, they do a show for all the family, and the girls get to practice their competition routines in front of friends and family. And so because my mom lives 2 hours away, it was difficult for her to get up here for some of the competitions. So she hasn't seen Briar dance in a long time. And so she was feeling up to it. I mean, it wore her out, but she was feeling up to it. And so Saturday evening, we took her to the arena, if you will, where they were doing the dancing, and she got to see Briar dance. So that was a highlight for her. And then, of course, we just stayed quiet on Sunday because it was exhausting for her since she's still recovering. But Briar has a competition this weekend, so I will be going Saturday morning with my daughter and Briar, and she'll dance on both Saturday and Sunday. So it is competition season. And those of you that have been with me, sometimes they'll when I've been doing classes and things, if I can't make it to a competition, they will videotape it or do it live. And so as a result, you guys have gotten to watch that with me as well. All right, so we've got that done. You can kind of see how the extra dark color added some highlight to it. We've got some here for the swing, the pillows. And before we actually die cut this, and I get my Stampin' Cut and Emboss out, I am going to bring in, let's see, I'm looking for my other pieces to my card over here. Kind of pile everything on top. So I've got this is the main piece right here. I need to stamp some grass. So we've got, let me bring this over. We've got this stamp right here. So I will pull it off. And when I do cut things, I have extras, and then I just keep them in my stamp case. So that's what you're seeing there. All right, so we'll go ahead and pick this up. This is my grass. I want to make sure I've got my grass going the right way. I think this is the right way. Bring in my little silicone mat again. We're going to ink up the grass. And then we'll just stamp it along the bottom. So I'm going to stamp it once, and I've got to get all the way across. So I will stamp it one more time. Whoops, guess I should use the end that has the ink on it. And then we'll stamp this. I'm going to move this over so I don't, we'll do that. There we go. Okay, so we've got the grass there. Now what I'm going to do after I clean off my stamp is we're going to take a blend, a Stampin' blend, and I'm just going to, let's see, I think I'll use the darker of the two. I can add, that's old olive. I want to do garden green. Mossy meadow, sorry. All right, and then I can just basically, I'm gonna kind of flick it. So I'm just doing little flicks here to add green color to the grass. And if I want to, and I'll show you here this in just a second, what I'll do is I'm adding the dark, and then we'll go back through and we'll add a little bit of the light, and that will add a little bit of highlight to the grass. So we've got that. Now what I'll do is I'll take the light Mossy Meadow, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. And we'll just add a little bit of different color to it, and it'll fill in my grass. So when you're embossing, you always want to do your stamping and coloring first. And so this particular layer, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not using designer series paper on this, but this is going to be my focal point. And so a couple things I'm doing. I've got my grass down at the bottom because of course the swing, once I cut it out, is going to hang over that. But I also, in this particular die set, let me just show you. It's not this die set. Which die set is it? Is it this? It's not this one. I have a die. Oh my gosh, guys, I didn't bring it over. I have a die, probably because I already brought this over. It creates this pattern. So basically what I did is I die cut this. I'm looking to see. I just used it in my class this weekend. Can't remember. I'll have to put it in the comments. Anyway, I created a template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to bring in a blending brush, and I am going to use my Cloud Cover ink. And I'm actually using Cloud Cover refill that I put onto a little square cube. And I can pick this up, and I'm just going to tap it off here, and then I'm going to blend over. And basically this is going to be kind of a focal point for me for where the swing is going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this together, and I did move that, so that's not really the best. So let me see if I can get this lined up a bit, and I'll work over on this end. You can tape it down if you choose to tape it down, but I'm just getting a little bit of color. It looks like a lot of color here, but when you lift it up, not so much, right? So now I've got a little bit of color here. Now I am ready to take this and run it through an embossing folder. And the embossing folder that I'm using is the Beautiful Pattern embossing folder. So let me go ahead and get this lined up in here. And I just use this line down here, this little black line down here, to line things up. Let's move this out of the way, and I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss. And I'm bringing in the big one because I've got a bigger embossing folder, obviously, that I'm using. So the sandwich I need for this is my main plate, and then I'm going to use the gray as my top plate. This is a 3D embossing folder. So we'll go ahead and get this cranked through. If you were to try to do this inking and embossing or coloring after you stamped, you probably wouldn't get as good of a connection on this. So you always, like I said, want to do your inking and your stamping beforehand. So we're going to push that off to the side. And now what I can do is I can bring in the dies, change my sandwich up, my well-loved cutting plate. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my, actually there's a number of things that I can do. I'm going to try to get as many of these cut at the same time. Bring in my mint tape, and I'm going to line up my swing to start. Get my swing taped down. And then I've got my branch die. So we'll bring this in, and I spaced it far enough apart from my swing that I can go ahead and get it lined up and get it cut. Okay, then we've got, I'm gonna move this up. I've got my little pot. So let me see, my little pot is right here. Okay, so I'm trying to, yes, I am. So what I did with my pot, there's two pieces to the pot. There's an inside piece that gives you a little bit of interest, dimension to the pot, instead of it just being flat like, let me move this so you can see. Instead of it just being a flat piece, this adds a little bit of dimension. So what I did is, because I've used this before, I used my tape, and I can get this lined up, and it's holding my insert in, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I've got my plant that's going to go inside my pot. So let's go ahead and get this. So excited I can get these all die cut at the same time. The only one that I can't get die cut at the same time is my pillow. So I'm going to show you a couple things. I'm going to do one pillow with just the die cut. I'm going to have to run it through a second time, and this die cut is kind of like the pot. It's got design in it. So we'll do the second pillow with the design. So let me go ahead and get this lined up quickly, and then we'll crank all these through and get that last pillow cut. All right, so we've got all this. I'm going to put my plate in here, and let's try to make sure I'm not hitting my computer screen. All right, crank all this through. And that cracking is normal. Kind of scares people sometimes, but it's absolutely normal. It means it's working. So let's go ahead and pull these out to start, and we'll work with those in just a second. But we'll get them off of here. This one, now I need this die. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this pillow out, set it over here, and then I'll bring this back in, pick this up, and this time I'm going to go ahead and put my pillow down, and then I'm going to attempt to get this insert centered as best I can within the pillow so that I can add a little bit of interest to this. All right, that looks like I might have gotten it. Okay, so let's go ahead and crank this one through, and we will be done with our die cutting for this card. Let's crank through. All right, so let me put that off to the side, get these dies out of the way so that I don't lose them. Move this out of the way, because I think I'm gonna use this again. So we'll come back to it in just a second for the next card. But let's go ahead and pull these together now and start creating this card. All right, I'm gonna save my tape. So there's our swing. Oh, I don't want to take that off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my take your pick, or if I don't have my take your pick, I said I had a class yesterday, or yesterday, Monday. I don't do weekend classes anymore. Anyway, you can see the detail on this. So my class was yesterday, and I had some of my supplies over in the other studio, and I don't think they made them back into my recording area. So we've got that, and then let's take this piece. There we go. All right, now we've got all those pieces. Let's go ahead and put these back on our, I'll make this look nice and neat in a bit, but right now I just want to move it out of the way, but I didn't want to lose my pieces. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring out my card base, and let's start building this card. So we've got our bone folder, and then we are going to adhere this layer, the embossed layer, to our crumb cake layer. So let's go ahead and get that done. I am a glue person when it comes to cards, because I like to be able to move my layers around so that I make sure that I get them lined up appropriately. And now we're going to adhere this layer to the back of our card base. So we'll get this done. Alrighty. And again, working to get that lined up. If I don't get it lined up exactly, I can scooch it around until I get it lined up the way that I need it. All right, let's start building the rest of this. So I'm going to build it with dimensionals. I think the only thing that I'm not putting on dimensionals is my pillows, or my pillows. So let's go ahead and get our pot adhered to our plant adhered to our pot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and let this glue. Let me see, where's my silicone mat? I'm going to go ahead and put it on the silicone mat while it dries. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of my swing and the back of my branches. So let me take my tweezers and we will put some dimensionals here. And I'm thinking, I don't remember exactly how I did this, so I got to think about it for just a second with respect to how I'm going to adhere my, I think I can just do it like this. Let me think about it. Let me think. I think I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to come up with a couple of dimensionals that are going to be at the end here. So I'm going to snip a couple of these and that will give this a little bit of dimension right here. I think this is an extra piece, yep. And then I'll take this one and I'll put it right here. And then I'm going to take one more of these and I'm going to put it right here in the middle. All right, now, let's see, let's put some behind my pot. So I'll put one here and I'll put one here. So now my pot's ready to go. So let's start to build this out more. Make sure I've got it going the right way. I do. And I think the first thing I'll do is I'll get my swing placed and I'm going to center my swing in the middle of my card, but I also want to make sure that I've got those little, the part that I embossed, that I, what do I want to say? The little blue flowers. We'll go ahead and get those in. So let me go ahead and get my swing on here. I think my swing goes like this. And then we'll go ahead and get our tree on, or our tree branch on, I should say. So we've got that. So now I can go ahead and get this layered up the way that I want it. That looks good. Now we're going to take our pot and we'll get our pot down. I'm going to put my pot right down here on my grass. There we go. Okay, we've got that. And then what I'm going to do, remember on my pillows, I've got one pillow that's got some, that's just plain, and then I've got one that's kind of die cut. You can probably see it better from the back. I can see it from the front, but it might be hard to see in the camera. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the first one that doesn't have the dimension or the cuts in it. And I can go ahead and get this pillow down on the swing. And then I'll take the second one and I'm just going to kind of tilt it a little bit, and I will also put it down on the swing. I'm not going to pop these up. I'm just going to put just a tiny bit of glue. They don't need a lot of glue, but I can go ahead and get this down on the swing as well. And we've got that. Now the only thing that's missing on this that I didn't put on the other swing or the other card was a sentiment. And I don't always put sentiments on the front, but a lot of times I do. And what I did is, for another card that I had created, we had a stamp that stamped a bunch of sentiments. And then you had a die that cut out all those sentiments. I can't remember the name of it. I'm not even sure it is available anymore. But the point is that you can use ephemera or you can create your own sentiments. I keep them in a little tray like this. And then when I'm looking for sentiments, if it works, I will use it. And I happen to stamp this sentiment in crumb cake. And I happen to have a layer of crumb cake here. So I have decided that I'm going to use this little layer or this little sentiment, and I'm going to add it to my card. So I'm going to use mini dimensionals. For this, I'm going to pop my sentiment up, but it was nice. I could have stamped it. I could have created a sentiment, but I like to press the easy button once in a while. And if I've already got sentiments that I have already prepped previously, then I will use those. So I'm just going to take this thanks a lot, and I'm going to place it up here. Make sure I get it straight. Whoops, that looks straight. And now this card is finished. How pretty is that? Thanks a lot. I've got a pretty little swing. It looks very inviting. I wish I was there. So let me move this stuff out of the way, and I am going to bring in the second card that we're going to create. So I'll move this out of the way. Card number 2 is also a swing. This time what I did, instead of stamping and coloring everything in, we have the dies that will do this for us. So I did do some die cutting with this. I've got my card base. We're going to use early espresso for a layer. I've got some cloud cover for a layer. Here's my tree that I've cut out. I've got my swing that we're going to put together. Here are the pieces to the swing. I've got my grass that I cut. I cut my grass out of, let me see, I used mixed up patterns for my grass. So the dies we had, I could cut the grass. And then I took some very vanilla cardstock and I embossed the scrap piece of paper I had. We're going to cut the pillows because I have to stamp a pillow. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the pillow right now. And we'll get that stamping and die cutting out of the way real quick. And then we can start to build this card. I'll show you what we've been doing. All right, so first things first, I need my Memento black. And in the, let me see, did I already pull it out? Yes, so I have a pillow that's got the flower design on it. I'm only going to stamp one pillow. The other one is just going to be a pillow with design. So we'll go ahead and get this stamped. Good enough. Let me clean it up real quick, and then we're going to color it real quick. And then we'll do the die cutting of both pillows out of the embossed piece as well. So I'm going to use Petunia Pop to color in my pillow to add a little bit of fun pop to this card. And let me see, I think I'm going to do the big one in the dark. And I'm going to do the smaller ones in the light. Is this dark? It's dark. Okay, so the big one was in the light and the smaller ones are in the dark. Either works. Either works. And then I'm going to just do my little, they're like little buds here. So we'll go ahead and get the buds done. And let me see, I think this is another part of a flower right here. So I'll get that. And then I'm going to use, let's see, what color is this? Mossy Meadow. I can use Mossy Meadow, and let's go ahead and color in our leaves. So we'll get the leaves colored in. I think that's it. That'll do it. I think I need to do a little spot right here. There we go. Okay, coloring is done. That was fast. Let me move these out of the way, bring in my cut and emboss real quick. This is a job for the mini cut and emboss, but I already had this one out. So let's go ahead and bring our layers back in, and I need to find my pillow die. So pillow die, where are you, pillow die? Oh my goodness, please tell me I didn't lose my pillow die. So you saw me put all the dies back. Did I put the pillow die back? I don't think so. All right, guys, let's see. Do we see the pillow die anywhere? This is why I try to put these back, because it's inevitable. This is the story of my life when I am crafting. I'm always losing my pieces, always. All right, here we go, guys. I'm gonna put this back down. I'm gonna look through this stuff that's over here. Not seeing. Here we go. Found it, guys. Found it. All right, let's bring these guys up. So we got this one and this one. I'm not gonna worry about the insert for this one this time. Putting you back on your magnetic sheet. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and get this printed one cut first, and then I will get the other one. So let me crank this one through real quick. And I'm just gonna back it up. I don't have a lot of room here. So we'll back this one up, and we got the pillow, the colored pillow. How pretty is that? And then I'm gonna take the die and I'm gonna place it over my embossed cardstock, and we'll cut this one out. And I love this because it makes me think of pillows that I have in my house with some texture to it. All right, so here we go. This is our textured pillow. Can you guys see that? There we go, there we go. Okay, all right, so let's put this one off to the side and get my cut and emboss out. I think, well, we are gonna have to do some more die cutting. Today is going to be a longer video because we are doing a lot of die cutting. All right, hopefully I've got everything set aside the way that we need it, and let's go ahead and build this. Now, before we actually start building, there's always one more thing to do, right? I wanted to add some background to my cardstock because I'm really not using designer series paper except for the grass. So what I did is I took my cloud cover, and I'm going to take my cloud cover ink, dark cloud cover ink. I'm going to use the brush tip on this, and basically I'm just going to flick color on my cloud cover. And this is just going to add a little bit of texture to the card, if you will, and just some interest. So there we go. We've got some flecks of color. Now I can start building this. So let's go ahead and bring in our card base. Fold this. Okay. And then I'm going to adhere my cloud cover to my early espresso. All right. Get this lined up. Do my scooching if I need to. And now what I can do is I can add this layer to my card base. So let's go ahead and get that done. Then we'll start adding the other pieces. Actually, let's do this. I'm gonna wipe off just this corner. Okay, let's go ahead and build this first, and I'll tell you why. I just wanna make sure that my edges line up. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to add my tree, and my tree is a little bit taller than my cardstock, and it's obviously wider too. I can bring this over so that it fits better, but then what I'm going to need to do is trim it up. So I do want a good part of this branch showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my tree adhered, and what you're seeing on the back is this tree has got lots of, let me see if I can show this to you so you guys can see. Can you see like the way that it's cut? You can see the cuts in the trunk. Well, if you cut off too much of it, some of it perhaps will kind of separate. And so basically what I did is this edge, I didn't want to lose pieces because I wasn't sure how much I was going to be using. So I used the tape to kind of hold those pieces together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this on. And I really want my branches to show more on this end. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down, and you can see then as I scooch this that I'm going to have some extra on the back, right? So I'm going to trim that off. If I had adhered this to my card base first and then tried to do this, I would have had an issue. So now I've got my tree down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my grass as well. I think my grass will be fine, but let's go ahead and get that down, and then what I can do is get this all trimmed up and then get it onto my card base. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down. And I have one more piece that, I think I'm going to have to move this over just a little bit because I was going edge to edge. And I'm going to, did I have to do, I think I only did 2. But oh, you know what? That's part of the problem. Here we go. I'm going to scooch this over more. Actually, I'll probably end up scooching it over even more than that. Let's take this off. All right, remember guys, I was going to trim this off. Well, I was going to trim it off later, but I'm going to trim it off now because I'm not going to have enough grass. And I don't want to trim off my grass. So let's go ahead and trim this off the back with my snips. And this is actually a large portion of my trunk. But I definitely wanted those branches to show because, yeah, this is, I'm going to have to work on that. My swing has to hang from my branches, right? And if I don't have branches, then what are my swings going to hang from? So this ends up being a little bit thinner than the previous card I made. And then I've got these 2 little pieces here. I'm just going to trim those off as well. All right, so now I've got my tree here. Now I can take my, I'm checking it on my glue. I can take my grass, and now my grass is going to work. But I was taking it to the end of the tree, and that wasn't the end of my card, if that makes any sense. All right, so now when I layer this, I've got plenty enough grass. Let's see, maybe put it right there. And then I'll trim off the extra edge. Okay, so I'll add it right here. Got my grass. Slide it down a little bit to hide that brown that I've got going right here. There we go. All right, now what I can do is I can trim this edge off. Okay, now move this stuff out of the way. And now I can put this layer down. Oh wait, I've got a little bit more stamping to do. A little bit more stamping. I am going to stamp, let's see, do I have it here? I don't have it here. So I must have been using a different stamp set. So let's check this out. Initially I stamped here to a fabulous friend. I thought it was part of the stamp set that I have. It is not. So let me check something out. I have some of these, and some of these I had embossed in gold. So what I could do is I could find one of these that was embossed in gold and perhaps use it. Oh, happy day. I kind of like that. All right, we're gonna do that. All right, I'm on the fly with you guys, just winging it. All right, so let's go ahead and build out our swing. So we've already cut this. And I'm just putting a little bit of glue. It doesn't need a lot of glue. And we'll go ahead and get this lined up. Okay, whoop. Move this around, make sure I get it placed where I want it placed. And then I'll give it a good press so that it will stick. And then we have these 2 little pieces here. So what I'm going to do, and basically what I'm doing this with is pecan pie, but it's the 2-tone pecan pie. So the dark side is the main part of the swing, the light side is the accent part of the swing, and then I'm doing the exact same thing then for my, I'm going to call it my rope. Is that what we want to call it? So I'm going to get this centered up. All right, give me just a second. It's going to go right here Okay, move this over. It's such a little piece. Move this over. Okay, we got that. And now we're going to do it for this one too. Little, teensy tiny bit of glue. That's why I like my precision tip. So I'll put a little bit here. Whoop! A little bit here. Just enough that we're going to make it stick. And then I'll turn this over and line this one up. Okay. Now, the challenging part for me is I glued my tree down. And I need to be able to get my swing tucked up underneath my tree. Okay. So what I'm going to do, well, first off, I think what I'm going to do is I don't think I got this down. Yeah, see, I didn't get it down so much that I can't pop this up. And then we'll go back in, and I'll show you how we're going to go back in. But I've got that, and then we're going to, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is another benefit to not using too much glue. It's not really necessary, but it also helps when you've got to do some tucking. So I will get my glue on the back of my swing. Okay. And then we are going to slide it up underneath here. Tuck it up underneath. I got to get it straight. Here we go. Yay! And then we'll take Oh Happy Day. I'm going to actually put Oh Happy Day on dimensionals. Happy Day swinging away. All right. So we'll do that. That's pretty. So I get that straight. Oh, Happy Day. And then I've got these two little pillows. So we've got our embossed pillow that I'm going to put down. And then we'll take the colored pillow. A little bit of glue here. Put it down. Probably right about. I want that embossed pillow to show there. And now what we can do is we can take this and we're going to put it on our card base. My glue is being difficult. I'm going to have a potential blowout here in just a second, I think. All right, well, I'm going to use my big bottle of glue. Because I don't have my, see how much glue comes out when I use my big bottle? That's why I don't use my big bottle. All right, let's get this lined up. And this might need a little bit of glue underneath it. So, and I take a little bit of glue on here. Slide it underneath there. See, that's even too much. All right. Get this down. Fortunately, this glue dries clear, so I'm not too terribly worried about it, but it did need a little bit of extra glue down there. And this card is now finished. How pretty is that? Can you see yourself swinging on this swing? Love that. Okay. Let's go ahead and move this one out of the way. And I've got one more card for us. This one's got, well, I guess I should show it to you, right? So I'm going to call this a tiling card where I've just done some tiling with it. So we've got the card base. I've got a basic white layer. This designer series paper is from the Lovely Blossoms. I'm going to do some stamping on a scrap of Mossy Meadow. And then, oh my goodness, look at all these little flowers I've got. Aren't you glad that I got them cut ahead of time? I got my pots cut ahead of time. And I got my flowers cut ahead of time. I just need to do a little bit of stamping and die cutting. Let's get these out of the way. And then we can start to build this card. All right, so here's, I cut my squares. I used my Stylish Shape dies for that. And the only thing we're going to do here is we are going to, get my fingers, I've got glue on them. So we're going to do some stamping and some die cutting, and then we will start to build this card. Okay, first things first. We are going to stamp, let's see, this is going to be my pots. So we're going to use Mossy Meadow. So I'll bring my Mossy Meadow in. And this is just going to add a little bit of detail to here. And we'll cut out 3 of these. That will fit over. This is the wrong one. Wrong run. Let me put this one here. It's this one. I'm like, that just looks too big. I'll clean that up in a minute. So we've got this one. Can you guys see that? Yep. And then we've got 2. And then we've got 3. Okay, so let me clean this up. And then I bet I didn't bring that stamp over. So we're going to, again, improvise a little bit. But basically what I want to do is I want to take one of my squares and we are going to stamp a sentiment on it. Now I'm going to pick because I don't think I have the ones that I want. So I think, let's see if I can find one that's going to fit. This one a little wide, but I think it'll work. We're going to do Sending Sunshine. I don't know, I didn't bring over the right stamp sets. I created these while I was out of town last weekend, not this past weekend, but the last weekend when I went to the ranch. And some of that stuff just didn't get back in my basket, probably because I'd used it for something else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a blending brush and I'm going to double check to make sure this is cleaned up enough, and it is. I'm going to take a little bit of my Petal Pink and I'm just going to blend the center of this before I stamp over it. Okay, so we've got that blended. Just adds a little bit of, I don't know, highlight to what we're going to do. And then I am going to use pecan pie because my pots are in pecan pie. So let me grab my pecan pie and we are going to stamp Sending Sunshine. I'm actually, do I have paper to test this out on? We're going to test it out on this piece of scrap right here. Sending Sunshine. There we go. That'll work for me. It's a little small, but it'll work. So we're going to line this up right in the middle, and we're going to do Sending Sunshine. There we go. I would have preferred for it to be a bit bigger, but that's okay. It will work. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to clean this stamp real quick. We're going to do some die cutting, and then we're going to do some assembly. All right. So back to the big cut and emboss and my plates. I need to find the die. I believe it's this one for these little guys. So let's do this real quick. Get this lined up. They're going to be covered by flowers, so potentially I didn't even need to stamp them, but since we do have a stamp for this particular die, I thought that I would go ahead and use it. And I can see a little bit in the card, so let's go ahead and get this one. We've got 2 more to do. Put that up there. I like it. All right. Hey, Connie. Love this. I didn't think of just using a small part of this set. Yes, I was having a lot of fun with this one. Lots of fun ideas with this particular set. All right. Let's go ahead get this one. And one more. Pop that one out. And then we'll get this one. Right here. Alrighty, I believe we have all of the prep work done now. Let me move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to put my die away so I don't lose it, because it's so little. All right, move this stuff out of the way so that I can start, whoops, building this with you guys. Okay. Hopefully I didn't lose too much. Let me see, here's some flowers. Here is my square that I stamped on. Okay, move this out of the way. All right, so let's start building this card base. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this over. Use my foam folder. And then we will go ahead and adhere the designer series paper to the basic white. Oh, my glue. All right, guys, here comes the big bottle. Don't like the big bottle because so much glue comes out, and I don't use a lot of glue. All right, there we go. Get this lined up. Do my scooching. And I'm going to build this layer first before I put it down on my card base, because I am going to put it on with dimensionals. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to build our layers out like this. And also I'm going to put a ribbon here. So let's go ahead. Oh my gosh, guys. Did you see me do this? When I moved this over, I forgot that I had my, my greenery on it. So let me see. I found 2 of my 3 bushes. Where's my 3rd bush? Oh, April. That was a silly thing to do. I should have just put them down. All right, not sure where the 3rd bush is. We may have to go without a bush, just because I don't want to spend, I'm already over on time, and I don't want to spend all my time looking for but I got lucky, guys. Got lucky. Found my bush. Okay, let's go ahead and build our pots out first. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to use this glue bottle, and I'm going to get a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to build my bushes. So I'm going to just take it like this. Whoops. Pull out my mat so that I can just lay these down on my mat. Oh, that was lucky. How come I have 4? I only cut out 3. Isn't that odd? No, I only have 3. I'm losing it. All right. For some reason in my mind I saw 4. That's odd. That's kind of scary, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and get these down, and then I'm going to use my take your pick. So I've got these down. But I didn't bring my take your pick over, right? I have one. Good grief. This is craziness. Okay, well, we're going to use my tweezers instead, because the take your picks that I want to use are in the other room. So I think I've got enough for 6 flowers on each one of these. So 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, and then I'll just use these little tweezers, and we're going to place the flowers. So here's 1, 2. I'm going to need another. I didn't space these dots right. Whoops. Good grief. Okay, one here. I'm going to to get glue all over my fingers. Three. 4. I'm going to do a couple more here. The glue will dry, but it's pretty cool because it still is sticky. It's kind of like an adhesive. So what's fun about it is that if you put your glue on ahead of time and it does happen to dry, first of all, it's still sticky, but also you can move things around. So sometimes I will do that when I'm working with different things. So here's 1, 2, problem is I can't see it. It dries clear. I know it's there, but I just can't see it. 3, 4. There's another one here. 5, and I think I'm going to put another glue dot right here. There we go. The tweezers are working well. Okay, so we've got that pot. And then this last one will do. Pick these up. There's a right and a wrong side, so I'm trying to, they all came out upside down, so when I pick them up with my finger, it gives me the opportunity to right them to the right side. 5, and then 6 right here. Okay, very good. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn them over, and I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of each one of them. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll take these and put them on their little squares. I'm just going to use this to help me to get it centered up. So pretty. Just something simple like taking a pot and putting it on a square. Just makes it so pretty. All right, we've got that one. And then we've got this one. That's going to go on this one. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to actually put dimensionals on the backs of these again. And I'm going to center them on our card. But before I do that, I mean, I can go ahead and get the dimensionals on the back. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to, I'm going to do 2 in the center of each one of them. 2 and 2. All right, so move that off to the side. I'm going to take this layer, and I've got this fun ribbon. This is petal pink ribbon, and you can actually take the ribbon and you can unbraid it, if you will, and it will give you a nice little texture there. I'm not going to do that for this card, but I wanted to show you how we could do it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this with my ribbon snips, and I'm going to cut it. And I'm looking to see, I do have some seal. Let me take this one and kind of cut it there too. And then I'm going to center it in the middle. And in fact, I think what I'm going to do is take some of this seal and I'm going to put it, maybe I'm going to put it in the middle. All right, set it here. So it'll just kind of hold it in place for me. But then I'm going to turn it over and we'll put some seal here. Fold this over. I want to make sure it's straight this way. Take my seal here, fold this over, okay? And then what we'll do is we will put this on our card base, but because this ribbon is so thick, I am actually going to, trying to make sure I get this centered up right. I'm going to put dimensionals on the backs of this as well because it's going to pop up anyway because of the ribbon. I don't even know if you would call that ribbon. It's kind of a, a braid, maybe, okay, a braided ribbon. Okay. And I'm going to put one here and one here. So now what we can do is we can get this centered up on our card. And you know me, I'm going to attempt to do this. I've got to use my big glue bottle. But when I'm trying to get things centered up, and I've got dimensionals, those dimensionals are sticky. So I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on the back of them so that I can move this around and get it centered up the way I want to get it centered up. So I'm going to turn it this way. I just got my fingers in it. And turn it this way. And then that way I can get it centered up the way that I want it. Scooch it around. It's going to work. This is off just a little bit. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these. And last time I did this, I just kind of had a ruler because I wanted it to be kind of centered, but I'm just going to, I'm not laying it down, what do I want to say? I'm just lightly laying it down so that I can get this lined up the way that I want to get it lined up. And I can scooch these if I need to. And then I will do the same thing down here. So basically today I'm just eyeing it. So it looks like I've got a lot more room down on the bottom than I do on the top, but it's okay. Take these off, line these up. It's still a pretty card. I still like. Okay, the last thing we're going to do, because we still have all this open space here, and I'm going to press these down. I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to tie a bow. So we'll get this bow tied. Get it tight. I don't want it too terribly big. But then I can go ahead and I can trim this off. And I'm going to trim, let's see, I want it to go this way. Trim that off. And it's going to go right here. So I'm going to grab my glue dots. And I'm going to take a couple of glue dots because this is a big heavy ribbon. I feel like I need a couple of glue dots on the back of this. I might even need more than a couple. But we'll start with this. And I had it adhered down. So there we go. There we go. And let me move all this stuff out of the way. We have our third card. How fun is that? I get done with these cards and I'm just like, I love this card. I love this card. Okay, so this one says Sending Sunshine. Sending Sunshine works. This one said hello. This one I used Mossy Meadow. This one I used Garden Green. So I did change them up just a little bit. Let me bring this down so you guys can see. Then the second one we changed up a little bit. This one said To a Fabulous Friend. This one says Oh Happy Day. How fun is that? And then this one did not have a sentiment on it, but I decided to put a sentiment on it. And this one says thanks a lot. So here are the 3 cards for this week's to-go class. Thank you, Connie. I know, it does make it look like a present, doesn't it? Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, saying hello, commenting. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. If you want information about the kit itself, you can go to aprildaviscreations.com. I'm going to come back and see you guys really quickly just to say thank you once again for joining me. And I will see you guys next week on the next to-go class. Take care, everyone. Bye.